ended 2024 in a fragile state. That's according to a survey which showed overall activity contracted for a second straight month in December, and a modest recovery in the services sector failed to offset a deeper downturn in manufacturing. The final Purchasing Managers' Index for the bloc, compiled by S&P Global and seen as a good gauge of overall economic health, rose to 49.6 in December from November's 48.3. That was just above estimates, but still below the 50 mark separating growth from contraction. The index was boosted by the bloc's dominant services sector. Its PMI bounced back above break-even to 51.6. But it was weighed down by a sharper decline in factory activity. US President-elect Donald Trump, who returns to the White House later this month, has pledged to impose tariffs on goods across the board. An index measuring new services business, a proxy for demand, nudged back into growth territory after 3 months of decline. The European Central Bank cut interest rates for a fourth time in December and kept the door open to more easing. That's as the Eurozone economy is dragged down by political instability at home and the threat of a US trade war.
Renault's Dacia brand aims to speed up electric vehicle sales in Europe. It cut the price of its low-cost EVs by €2,000 or just under $2,100 in France on Tuesday. It's part of a wave of expected discounts in Europe this year in response to stagnant EV sales. Car makers are expected to rely on price cuts to push EV sales and help them meet tougher new emissions rules in the EU. At least 1/5 of all European sales by most car companies must be EVs to avoid heavy fines. But trade data showed only 13% of vehicles sold in the region during the first 11 months of last year were electric. Dacia is the region's leading low-cost brand. It said it was dropping the entry price of its electric Spring model to around $17,600, which closes the gap with China's Leapmotor. The Chinese firm has a joint venture with Stellantis and recently cut the price of its T03 by about $4,160. It's now priced at around $15,500. That kept its position as the cheapest EV in the region. The discount on the Spring has already taken effect in some other European markets.
Walt Disney announced Monday it will merge its live TV streaming service, Hulu Plus Live TV, with sports-focused Fubo TV. The deal would create the second biggest internet pay TV company in North America, behind YouTube TV, with around $6 billion in revenue and 6.2 million subscribers. Fubo shares, which had tanked more than 60% in 2024 due to slowing revenue growth and increased competition, climbed more than 200% by midday Monday. Shares of Disney were up 1%. As part of the agreement, Fubo will drop its lawsuit against Venu, the sports streaming service planned by Disney, Fox, and Warner Bros. Discovery. Fubo had sued those big media companies, saying Venu would violate U.S. antitrust law by reducing competition and driving up prices. Disney, Fox, and Warner Bros. Will now pay Fubo $220 million in cash, with Disney also committing to a $145 million term loan for Fubo in 2026. Disney will hold a 70% majority stake in the new venture, which will be led by Fubo CEO and co-founder David Gandler. The deal excludes Hulu's mainstay video streaming business.
For Athens restaurant owner Christos Kapitanakis, soaring electricity bills have slashed profits and forced him to raise prices. Kapitanakis pays between $3,000 and $3,900 a month on power. That's up 40% since Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022 and triggered a European energy crisis.
Today, electricity costs essentially represent a second rent. Even though rents for restaurants can be very high, which is well known to everyone, in many cases the electricity bill from the provider exceeds the rent itself.
His predicament has been echoed across the continent since the war interrupted Russian pipeline gas supplies to Europe. It forced countries like Greece to seek more expensive alternatives. Southeast Europe has felt the impact much more than the Northwest. Experts say that gap will only widen as winter hits and will have a knock-on effect on economic growth. Wholesale power in Greece and Italy in August was 12 times higher than that in Nordic countries. Since 2021, Greece has spent billions of euros on energy subsidies to try to protect customers. In 2022, the spend amounted to 5.3% of GDP, by far the highest in the EU and double that of second-placed Italy. Much of the contrast between Southeast Europe and its neighbours comes down to investment. While the Northeast has power and gas lines that allow the easy transfer of energy between nations, as well as a strong mix of renewable sources, much of Southeast Europe is fragmented and isolated. Power storage, which is becoming increasingly important in northern European countries, is non-existent in parts of the Southeast. After power prices spiked in Greece last summer, Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis wrote to the European Commission. He demanded a solution to the, quote, unacceptable differences in electricity costs across Europe.
Top names in tech are gathering in Las Vegas for one of the industry's biggest events. The CES trade show brings together manufacturers, suppliers and analysts from across the technology world. This year it kicked off with a keynote speech from NVIDIA boss Jensen Huang. He unveiled a new system for training robots and self-driving cars at a much lower cost.
The ChatGPT moment for general robotics is just around the corner.
Huang also revealed new chips designed to give video games movie-like graphics. They also feature AI technology that will help game developers create more realistic human faces. But the TechFest takes place this year under a looming shadow. In less than 2 weeks, Donald Trump will be sworn in as president, and he's promised sweeping tariffs on imports, particularly from China. Gary Shapiro is head of the Consumer Technology Association, the CES show organizer. He says protectionism doesn't help anyone.
It hurts American companies, it hurts the American stock market, it hurts the retirement plans, the 401ks, the IRAs, and I know President Trump cares about all of that. So while tariffs are a negotiating tool for him, and we'll have some difficult, even terrorizing moments for the business community and American consumers, I think ultimately President Trump will do the right thing.
However, Trump this week denied reports that he could scale back tariff plans, calling it more fake news. That's sure to see the firms gathered in Las Vegas asked whether they plan to change suppliers or move production. Trump has also vowed to end government support for sales of electric vehicles, nowadays a big focus for the tech sector. Updates on self-driving systems are expected at the show from firms including Toyota. In his keynote address, Huang said the Japanese auto giant would be buying chips from his firm to power driver assistance features. AI is also likely to remain a buzzword at the event, with the tech set to power everything from companion robots to immersive VR headsets. The CES show will run until January 10th.
A new entrant into the competitive world of electric vehicles drove into view on Monday. Japanese tech giant Sony revealed its Afeela One is now available for pre-order at a starting price of $89,900. Hiroki Totoki is president and CFO of Sony and spoke at the CES Technology Trade Show in Las Vegas.
At last, Afeela One is ready for reservation. This product will be offered at the starting price of $89,900 for the origin trim and $102,900 for the signature trim.
The Afeela One is Sony's first EV and developed in partnership with Japanese automaker Honda. It first unveiled a prototype of the vehicle at the same event 2 years ago. Sony executives said Monday both versions of the car come with a 3-year complimentary subscription to the company's connectivity and entertainment features. That also includes a driver assistance system. Sony's long-awaited push into EVs shows how manufacturers are focused on the cockpit experience in cars. It offers the potential to sell content via subscription services, especially as autonomous driving capabilities improve.